You're listening to the Ordinary Joe's podcast with Joe D and Eric B. The Ordinary Joe's podcast.
All right, 2021. God, 2021. Believe that?
It's weird, right?
2000 felt like 2020 was just 2 days ago. Or 3 days ago. I'm sorry. 3 days ago.
It was.
Was it?
But it feels like yesterday.
Feels just like yesterday. All right, new year, new, I don't want to say new type of podcast, but we got a surprise for you guys today. And we'll get that surprise towards when the surprise is ready to pop up. Yeah. But today we're going to talk about clothing line and how clothing line changed a lot. I got a lot of questions for Joe because, you know, you guys know
because I'm such a fashionista.
I always pick it. No, well, he's from New York. That's the only reason why I pick his brain. He's from New York, and you know, New York's fashion always comes out to the West Coast. So I definitely got a lot of questions New York wise for him. But we're gonna get this podcast going. I am Eric B.
And I'm Joe D. And we are
the Ordinary Joes. All right. No soundtrack today. Got that a little on the good side. All right, Joe. So, question number one that I have for you, man.
Dun, dun, dun.
You grew up in the 80s, so you grew up in, you know, bomber jackets and bomber jackets. It seems like to me, every time I see a New York music video or any type of video, they're always wearing bomber jackets no matter what year it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's like Tim's.
Is it, yeah,
it's like Timberlands and the Yankee hat. Like
exactly.
They give you that as you come out of the hospital. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's cold. It gets cold. So that's kind of, there's certain things you have to have in your, let's say, repertoire as far as your clothes go, right? You got to have a 3/4 coat with a hood and fur.
Yeah.
You got to have some Tims. You got to have some sweats. That's a given. Yeah, I mean, I just think that's what it is. It's because of the weather, you know. For me though, like I didn't really have a personal style in the 80s. It was pretty much whatever my mom threw on me.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, it was a lot of really short shorts and tank tops in the summer. I hated sandals, you know, like the man sandals, like Birkenstocks, let's just say that style.
Yeah.
I hated that as a kid because I couldn't run and play. I'd trip. My toes get scraped up on the concrete.
So you were actually, the Crocs wasn't invented when you were a kid yet, right? Or was Crocs?
No. Crocs came out. I was already. Well, when did Crocs come out?
I don't remember.
Like that came out. I was introduced to Crocs by Mario Batali on Food Network.
Okay,
that was the first time I ever saw Crocs. So, if they were out before that, I don't know.
You probably would have been one of the kids wearing Crocs if you were running around. If your parents were like, Joe, we're not going to buy you shoes. We're buying you Crocs. I put my kids in Crocs, man, and they enjoyed it. You know, Crocs is kind of that crossover between shoes and sandals. Or like you said, it's not comfortable to run around and play in sandals, but I think Crocs gives you that little leeway, you know, where
I hear they're comfortable, like they feel good on your feet as far as, you know, just walking and stuff. Maybe not for sports, but
I don't own a pair, but you know, from the people who does wear them, I'm like, all right, this is.
I mean, my wife works in the food industry. She's a pastry chef, and from what I understand, she has a pair, and I think that's starting to become popular for kitchen workers because there's some Crocs that I think they're made for, you know, the kitchen. So it's not like open in the back. It's an actual shoe.
Yeah.
Rubber on the bottom. And I think it's just really for comfort. And then they just add that kind of safety non-slip surface on the bottom.
That's cool. I mean, again, I don't own a pair. You know, I'm more the shoes. And if I'm in the house, I'm wearing, you know, the Filipino slippers, you know, the walking around the chinelas kind of thing.
I was just about to ask you guys, what do you call it? You guys call them chinelas?
Chinelas,
right?
Yeah, chinelas.
We call them chancletas.
Chancletas?
Yeah,
kind of the
close.
same, kind of similar, similar. Spanish and Tagalog.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Was your mom or your dad like a marksman with that thing? Because you know, my mom, she it was like a boomerang. It could go around corners and come back to her.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because when you listen to any Filipino comedian, from Joe Coy to Rex Navarrete, that's the first thing I'm pretty sure Hispanic comedians are the same way, where they'll say, you know, you could be sitting in a room and the room doors closed, and you tell your mom, "Shut up, mom," and like 2 seconds later, whoosh, a slipper hits you in the face. You're like, "Where the hell did that come from?"
You tell your mom shut up.
No, I'm saying, that's if you tell your mom shut up. No, man.
Yeah.
But see, my mom, going off the topic a little bit, and this is a podcast we can bring up on a different podcast, but my mom was one of those where you said any shit to her, she's not going to bend over and reach and get her slipper. It's whatever's around the table at that moment in time. I had oranges. I had bananas,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, Jesus, that's why growing up, when I played football, basketball, and all the sports, I had the reflex skills were like, it's like,
Yep.
yo, man, where'd you get your reflex skills? Dodging slippers and dodging oranges.
Yeah, no, that's same with my mom.
Yeah.
I mean, if I even fixed my face to even look like I was thinking about saying something, I was just done for. I got to the point though, and like you said, going off topic, but I got to the point where if I knew I was gonna get an ass whooping, I was gonna run. I was gonna make her chase me because I figured I'm gonna get an ass whooping anyway. So maybe if I tire her out a little bit, it won't be as bad. But no, my mom was too savvy for that. She'll just wait till she re-energizes and I forget and I'm playing with my toys and then she ambushes me.
It's funny you mentioned that because my MO used to be, if I knew I was in trouble, knew something, bad grade, something, I broke something in the house, something, I'd take a nap. I would take a nap because, they won't hit you when you're sleeping, right? Right? Kids, if you think we won't hit you when you're sleeping, guess what? You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah. If you've ever been woken up to an ass whooping, that's
this is my mom's famous line. Mom, I was sleeping. Are you sleeping now? No? All right. But yeah, anyways, back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Again, different. This is why we're the ordinary Joes, because we have, things come in our head, and this is one of those things that just popped in, man. So I got a question for you about, the style. When did or why? I mean, it's cool and all, but why did Run DMC think it was cool to wear Adidas track pants and a leather, I guess, trench coat? Was that just the style, or was that just, like I'm being lazy and this is what I'm putting on?
Yeah, no. Actually, so that comes from, and this was part of why Run DMC kind of had such appeal to kids in New York, and because the way they dressed was how the drug dealers of that time dressed.
That's right. You mentioned that.
Those hats, those kind of Houdini style hats, and the leather trench coats, and all that, they were mimicking the drug dealers that were at the time kind of like the hood heroes. So, during that time, all the other rappers were still kind of on the Grandmaster flashy, Parliament Funkadelic style.
Yeah.
These guys came out and they're like, wait a minute, they're dressing like just regular guy. Like, you can't do that. Nobody's gonna like that. And it was something that the kids kind of like clung to because they could relate to it, I guess.
I mean,
but yeah, that's where that came from.
It's funny because like growing up here in the West Coast, we were very influenced by a lot of the East Coast style dress, especially when the hip hop in the 90s came aboard, right? Everybody like from Run DMC to like what else? Jay-Z, the way he wears his clothes. Again, it influenced a lot of us in the West Coast. I was one of those guys where I would wear the baggy jeans, I would wear the bright colored polka dot shirt, and I would wear a tie. It's like that's just how. And again, there was two different types of correct me if I'm wrong. There was two different types of fashion in the East Coast. You had the hip hop, where they just did the Timberlands, the jeans, and then you had the hip hop, right? Like the dancing type hip hop.
I mean. Well, I'm sorry, finish.
Where they wore more like what I just described with, the different type colors to be loud, right?
Yeah, you had, it was definitely, as far as, let's just say like urban and rap goes, like, yeah, you had that kind of, in the 90s, you had the baggy kind of, Tim's, what we know for the 90s to be. And then, but you also had grunge, which was really big in New York as well. Everywhere really. So you had that, and then you had, these little kind of nuances. Like you had like the neo soul, Arrested Development
Yeah,
type rappers who kind of were, I call them hip hop hippies, where it's kind of like a mash between, hip hop and grunge and maybe go into like a mom and pop's a thrift shop or something like that. So it was really interesting, but I want to say overall the tone was baggy.
Yeah. That I guess that's what would describe us. Or I'm just speaking for me in general. I don't want people to be like, well, I never freaking dress like that. But yeah, that grunge hip hop look is where you go to a house party, right? And especially like when Kid and Play made famous the House Party movie, and the way they were dressed and all that stuff. That's exactly how we wanted to dress. And Boyz II Men, when Boyz II Men came out, and they were dressing with like, the jeans and then the suit jackets, were like, what the hell is this look? It's like, and when they came over here to the West Coast again, we were all over it. It's like we couldn't go to a party. It's like you couldn't go to a party without looking a certain way. If I came there with like sweatpants and just a regular t-shirt, like I just came from a gym, I'd be that like, what the hell is this guy wearing? Kind of guy. You know,
you had to do the what I call like the unliving color, not unliving color. The what is that? I can't think of the name of the show, but yeah, where you're wearing like the shirt and the tie, button-up shirt with tie, and like, but it's super baggy with the baggy pants. And now let me ask you, how was your hair journey back in the days? Because I personally have seen pictures of you, so I know, but I'm playing devil's advocate. What are some of the hairstyles you played with? Because I mean, I consider that fashion, right? It's part of the whole ensemble.
So like back after I guess, I graduated in 90. In 90, my hair was all poofy and, I had that little fade and I had what they call ducktails, which a lot of people call, what do they call it now? They call it
mullet.
Mullet, exactly. That's what they call it. They call it a mullet, but it was ducktails, and that's what we called them, ducktails. And then, when the trailer parks came out and they said, oh, that's a mullet. No, it wasn't a mullet. It was ducktails. So when the 90s came,
business in the front, party in the back.
Exactly what it was. So when the 90s came and we all had to start changing our hairstyle, I started getting that little high top fade where my hair is weird because it can't get to that flat top point that I always wanted. All my friends were like flat tops and they had all this little, my hair couldn't do that. My hair was like, I got thick Filipino hair. So what I started to do, and this is weird, I know there's a picture out there. One of my boys have to throw out a picture out there. There's a picture of, I think for a whole month, I had my hair in like twist ties.
No.
Yeah. It was like faded. It was faded all the way around, and I had them in twist ties, and I would always wear a visor so the top part would just pop out.
Please, if any of Eric's friends is listening to this, if you have a picture,
someone has a picture. Someone has a picture of that.
Please send it to us.
I know I went to a few parties and everybody was like, "What the hell does this guy do?" I mean, it's like I didn't care at the point. I didn't care. I thought it was cool. I thought the baggy jeans. I was wearing we wore those long jackets that had the little hoods. We call them the Jedi jackets now because that's what they look like. But, that's how we were. That's how we dressed. And, it's like my hairstyle it didn't change for a year. And then later on when I couldn't do the twist ties anymore because I got tired of doing them, I became that person where I just didn't care anymore. I would wear a hat all the time. And I just didn't care anymore. Everybody had the little bangs that was going on. But what about you? What was your hair back in that, era of hip hop?
I was kind of the same when I had hair. I'll try to see if I can find a picture. My hair is really kind of it's wavy. So most times I was just wearing a hat, but in school, for instance, you can't wear a hat. So I would always get just like a close fade, short on top, just something simple. Kind of how like I don't know, I can't even think of something like Ross from Friends. That just kind of how low he had it, where you can't really do much with it. You know what I mean? The sort of the Ross look, but just with a cleaner fade and lined up better than Ross. But anyway, but then when I got to high school and I started playing football, I would get lazy. I didn't like going to the barbershop. I was really not someone who was deep into fashion and things like that. Although I was up on trends, but I didn't care about it as much as other people. But anyway, so when I started playing football, my hair would get long. I would just be lazy and I wouldn't cut it, and it would get long, and then it started to get stuck in the helmet when I would take it off, and it would like
That was the
yank my hair
worst
out.
feeling.
Yeah,
Man, I hated
so
that.
I would say by the time high school came, I mean, I always had like a low, what we call like a Caesar or Caesar fade,
So
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
basically like a one or two, and then clean it up. And it's pretty much been like that ever since. So it wasn't a big deal for me to lose my hair because I mean, this is not much different from what I look like anyway.
Now, when we were growing up, when in the same '90s era, we were 5 or 6 guys, always partied in the garage, and always, someone was one of the DJs. We would cut each other's hairs. Did you guys do that too in New York? Like, like, hey, we're gonna hook up on Friday. Can you hook up my fade kind of thing? Were you guys like that too?
Yeah, for sure. When I was like maybe like junior high age, one of my like best friends at the time, his older brother cut hair, and his name's Kelly. And anybody grew up in Staten Island, you know Kelly. Shout out to him. He was kind of like the neighborhood barber, so we would kind of all go to him, especially you ask your mom for $10 to get your hair cut, and you go to your friend and get it cut from him, so you get to pocket that. But
$10.
we did that, and then again, when I got to high school, I didn't want to pay for someone just to buzz my head, so I just got a pair of clippers and I started doing it. And just a couple of my friends were like, "Hey, can you just do that to me?" They didn't really care, they didn't want necessarily any style, so that was kind of the most I ever did. Everybody got a number one all around and lined up. That was it.
It's funny because I didn't know hairstyle or different hairstyles for the longest time because my aunt, she ran her own little salon in the house back in the days in Daly City. Shout out to my aunt, up in Sacramento. And if I said, "Hey, can I get a 2, faded and whatever on the top," it would always be the same haircut all the time. I mean, she didn't make me
no matter what you asked
no matter
for,
what I asked for. No matter what I asked for. She didn't make me look like a dork, which was a good thing. She made sure that my haircuts were always clean and everything was straight and proper. She would brush. She was the one that started brushing my hair back so that I kind of had that brushed back look. But if I, came in and like, "Hey, Joe's sporting this new look," and, it looks like it was like shaved on the side, she's like, "Okay." And then, when I'm done, and there was mirrors, it's like a regular salon. There's mirrors. Right. And then when I'm done with the haircut, it's like, this look exactly like what it was when I asked you the haircut last time. Just and then shorter. Later on as an adult, she finally said, she didn't like going skin tight, or she didn't want to go with a 0. That's why she never went lower than a 2. She was afraid that she would cut us, which kind of made sense, Fair
enough, yeah.
She was more of a beautician, a salon owner, than she was a barber. So like, so
yeah,
I started having to go to like Supercuts or those if I wanted certain cuts. And that first time that I ever heard her feeling when she said, "Who cut your hair?" I was like, "Oh yeah," it broke my heart because I was like, well, I wanted this haircut. There was a dance, and you live in Daly City. I don't drive. It's kind of one of those things. But man, as far as fashion though, man, I mean, I think for the longest time, what I like to call funk style. Because I think after the hip hop era, I found shorts.
Gotcha.
I found shorts, and I just wore shorts 24/7.
That's true. Now I think about it, when we first met, when you were working at the hotel, you were definitely the cargo shorts.
Yep.
And you always looked like you were, which I mean, you always did marathons and stuff, but you always looked like you were training to go, for a race or Ironman or something.
Not an Ironman, but for a race. Yeah, when I first met you, I was into the whole marathons and running thing. So it's like, yeah, it wasn't that look. It was just more the I don't give a fuck anymore kind of look. It's like I'm wearing shorts. Yeah, when I go to a party or we go out to dinner, I do the little dress up. But when the fashion started to change and like kids started to sag, where did that sagging thing come from? Was that a West Coast or an East Coast thing?
I think that was a jail thing, honestly.
Okay.
From what I understand, because when you guys would get arrested, they go to jail. I mean, it's not like they have a tailor. You get whatever size is available.
Yeah.
And their clothes would sag, and a lot of them, they came back home. They were still used to that style, and so was institutionalized. So they still did and acted and dressed the way they were in jail. From what I heard, and I mean that could be East or West Coast, or
I guess
South,
so. Yeah.
So, but from what I understand, the whole baggy, at least the baggy jeans sagging down your ass thing came from jail. Okay. But I don't know if that's the same for grunge. If they, kind of just bit off hip hop, which is possible because that's usually the case.
I know. I saw a video with Trench from Naughty by Nature. He had this one jacket that was kind of like, it wasn't leather, but it was a jacket. It was a long jacket. And then the interviewer asked, why does he always wear that jacket? And he said, this is the style that we had it in prison because, you could put whatever you can in the pockets, right? There's so many pockets, you can put all that stuff. And when that came out here, in public where everybody is like, whoa, this is a kind of a cool thing, that jacket became famous, or that style of jacket became famous where, you could, they called it the 40 jacket because you can hide a 40 inside the jacket.
Nice.
And so it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, that makes sense because they used to, and I don't remember the name of it, but they used to rock this kind of hat that looked like one of those like old time pajama hats, right? It was just almost like a sleeve, and then it had a thing kind of tied at the top.
Yeah.
From what I understand, that same thing that also came from jail. Like they'd take a sleeve or even like their boxers, and they tighten the elastic around and then just cut the thing off and tie it on top. And so a lot of these things stem from that. At least early 90s hip hop style. A lot of it was just guys coming out of jail doing their
thing. Have you ever considered one time, like, being the type of person where, hey, I want to get in the clothing line. I want to create my own style of clothes just because you saw the fashion going a different direction. Have you ever been that type of person?
No, I would say the closest I ever came to that would be sneakers.
Okay.
Like as far as fashion goes, I've always been, I've kind of been up on trends here and there, but never big on it. I was always pretty simple, t-shirt, jeans, usually I would wear kind of muted colors, and my sneakers is where, the expression came from. That's where the color would come from. And that's where, over the years getting into sneakers, I kind of got into slight customs and repairing them and things. And there's been times where I'm like, man, I like those Air Force Ones, but it'd been cool if they're this color or that color. So now I'm actually playing with that, where I'll go and kind of paint my own colorway and do it. So that's probably the closest, but I never really got deep enough into fashion where, I want to create my own shirt or something like that. But how about you? I mean, I know
there was a point, I don't know if this is when I met you already, but there was a point where UFC was just getting big, and these UFC fighters was coming out with their own gear, Tap Out was one of the big ones. So I was going to collab with a boy of mine, and we were going to come out with something called Detox Fitness. Oh, cool. Actually, it was just going to be Detox, and we were the same thing. We had that whole Tap Out style look, and we were trying to first of all, we were trying to get someone to say, hey, this is what my idea is, this is what I want. And a lot of people was like, dude, Tap Out is kind of big right now in UFC, and this is when UFC wasn't. It was big, but it wasn't that big yet. But everybody knew who UFC was, and then like you see fighters coming out with their own types of gear. Not only Tap Out, but now you have like No Fear was getting into the whole business. And then there was a Rampage was one of, I think the guy who they called Rampage came out with his own stuff. Yeah, so it was
Jackson, right?
Yeah, Rampage Jackson. So it was kind of hard to come out with, I want to come out with this and this is this. And I was intending to come out with a shirt to, fit that UFC, the MMA style fighters, and people just sport it and wear it. But then I thought, first of all, I got to get the audience, and I couldn't get the audience because, again, the audience was, big on a different side. Then I had to figure out if I wanted silk screen or if I wanted this and that. And that was kind of hard as well. So it was kind of like, what am I going to do? So I decided to change it to Detox Fitness, where like you said, when you met me, I was into the whole marathon thing. I liked working out. So I was trying to get it to like, okay, maybe I can make a workout shirt and have people go into that. I went through like customizations of shirts and how I wanted the shirt to look like. I had a friend of mine who she draws for The Simpsons down in LA. She came out with a cool type shirt that I was going to use for the longest time, but I waited too long that style that I wanted to use that she drew was kind of already outdated because the styles was changing. Like I said, Tap Out was taking over. Mm-hmm. So I decided to just scrap it and not do it. So that was my journey when it came to when it came to,
that's gotta be it's gotta be hard when you're trying to come up with. I would assume, like a clothing line or a style shirt, because trends are so fickle and they move in so many ways. So I mean, I guess it's safe to go with what you like, but if you're like me and what you like can be dated sometimes, I don't know if it's a good business.
Yeah. But we are going to surprise you guys because we have a guest that's coming on, and I'm sending him a message right now to get him to get on, and once he gets on, we will properly introduce him. But yeah, I mean, the clothing line is just so different. Everything's changed from, like here I am wearing, it's a run marathon shirt. It's called Run With Me Goose. I don't know if you guys can see it over on YouTube, but this is the type of shirts that I like to wear. This is, it's like, Joe's wearing a New York Giants sweatshirt. Shout out to New York Giants for kind of sort of almost making it to the playoffs. Almost. But yeah, it's like, again, there's just so much out there that there's not one thing I want to wear. There's not one thing that there's no fashion that I like to wear. Other like my kids, my older son is into this Japanese type shirts where they has the Japanese, and like some of the girls has boobs on them, and it's like, what the hell are you wearing? But it's like, it's Japanese animation that it's not bad, Yeah,
that's what they're into.
My younger son is more that hip hop, he likes to wear like Ice Cube tees. He has a couple Ice Cube tees. He's into the whole Logic, the rapper that I don't know nothing about. But you know what? We are going to bring in a guy right now. Let me go play his music. He's coming in. And there he goes.
There he is.
Right there, Mr. Kofi from Black Star United.
What's up, man?
What's good, fellas? What's good? What's going on? How y'all doing?
Good.
Kofi, I'm playing your music from one of your videos in the background. I don't know if you hear that.
That's right. Hey.
Got to get you right with that intro music, man. I love the flags in the background, man. You got the Filipino and the Ghana flag going around.
Nah, thank you. I had to represent, man. Yeah, man. As you know, my wife is Filipino, and I'm from Ghana, so we're, I'm in the garage right now. I'm in the workshop.
Nice. For you guys,
I gotta send you a little Puerto Rican flag just to put in the corner somewhere.
Hey, bring it on.
We'll put one in post-processing, Joe. We'll put one in pros. Yeah. We'll have the little Puerto Rican flag right there for you. But for you guys who are listening and watching on YouTube, this is Kofi, founder, owner of Black Star United, the hat that I'm wearing right now. This guy has a lot of cool, positive things. He has this saying where it says, share your light. Man, when you sit 5 minutes with this guy and let him tell you stories on his clothing line, how he got the name, why he's doing it. Trust me, you will be. He's an inspiration. He's an inspiration to me. Yes. He got me into the vlogging. He's the one when I said, hey, you know what, Kofi, I think I'm going to go vlog. I think this is something I want to do. He was the first one that said, he didn't say, what are you thinking? What are you crazy? He said, do it. And I was kind of like stuck because I was like, what? Do it. Just do it. You're not going to lose anything. Do it. So Kofi, go ahead. Talk about your brand, talk about your stuff, and talk about why, the name and everything that goes with it.
Well, first off, I got to say that's quite an introduction, man. I appreciate it. I think you oversold me a little bit, but but I appreciate it, E. Thank you. Yeah, man. I mean, thanks for having me. As E said, my name is Kofi, owner, founder, Black Star United. I feel like Black Star United is really a mission of mine. As a young kid, born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, to be exact. I've always wanted to find a way to really keep my roots alive, but at the same time, find a way to share all the beauties and just the uniqueness of Africa, my home, with the rest of the world. And, it took me some years to develop that clarity of that mission and purpose, but I think everything I've gone through has kind of led me to this. And so I feel like Black Star is kind of the culmination of just my journey coming from Ghana to the States, as well as just all of my experiences as being here in the States as a young man, trying to navigate myself through, coming to a new country, barely speaking the language, and kind of finding sports as a way to connect with people and kind of speak the same language, if you would say, and then from there, just getting into fashion as a screen printer, and just how that evolved and gave me something to share with the world, and so that's kind of really what got me going. As far as Black Star United itself, the BLK originates from, I just took the abbreviation of Black. The middle of the Ghanaian flag, as you see behind me, is a Black Star.
Nice.
And so that star evolves from really being able to one day connecting Africa with the rest of the world. And so, I kind of see myself as a symbolism of that Black Star, as being able to, again, leave home and come to the States. I see it as my mission to be able to carry that Black Star with me wherever I go. And so Share Your Light kind of comes from that, is how do I share my light with the Black Star and really shine light on Africa and just the beauty and everything it has to offer to the world. I feel like that story isn't always told the right way, I guess. And so for me, I feel like fashion is what unites the world. And so that's where that Black Star United comes from. How do I unite the world? And I'm trying to do that through my message and my creations, my fashion, my work. You know what I mean? And so the abbreviation of United as UNT, that actually comes from my roots, man. I grew up playing soccer as a kid, man, barefooted back home, man. And you know what I mean? Like, that's how I grew up. So soccer was my first love. One of my favorite teams was Manchester United over in Europe. And so that's kind of how I try to put those together. So things I loved and things that, meant a lot to me and reminded me back home how, I knew a lot of kids who were able to make it out with the soccer ball. And so for me, I used to always look back and I was like, dang, like, I'm so lucky to be one of those kids that got the opportunity to come to the States. And so I got to find a way to be able to make something of that. Right. And so at the same time, I knew a lot of kids back home who I used to always be like, man, I grew up with a lot of homies who were straight ballers, man, like just straight killers on the pitch, and just probably never even had the opportunity to be able to do it on any stage aside from like back home. And so for me, like being able to use Black Star to kind of connect that pipeline for folks to go back home, as well as for me to be able to kind of tell my story is really what I've been focused on. I would say starting probably like 2018 is probably, when Black Star kind of really kind of jumped off for me and I kind of locked in on it. When I first met you, E, as you know, I was working with my folks over at Heroics back then.
Yep.
I was really focused on, sportswear and just really printing a lot of T-shirts. Myself, my boy Gav, and his cousin were really tapped in with all the Bay Area teams and doing a lot of custom clothes from back then. So through that process, I really learned a lot as far as just what the game entails, you know what I mean? How to make the product, package it, sell it, you know what I mean? Come back, and just kind of learn that whole game. And that was very important for me. I knew nothing about that back then, I got involved with Heroics because my boy Gav had a clothing line, and I thought like that was like the coolest thing. Like I wanted to make my own clothes,
Nice.
Growing up, I didn't have much. And so coming here to the States, like I used to have to make my own clothes essentially. Like I would cut up old clothes and like make new clothes of them, you know what I mean? And so like from that, I think just from that experience and just having to do that, that always kind of just stuck with me, and I've always had my own style. And so I just felt like I've always had a way to connect with the world through fashion. And so my mission really with Black Star is to do that.
Nice. Man, you guys, Kofi, where can they buy your stuff? Your stuff just dropped. Your website just opened this weekend. Congratulations on that for that dropping. Where, if anybody wants to get Black Star United gear, where can they go?
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that, E. Yeah, the website is blkstruntd.com. Once again, it's BLK, and star is just STR. It's not STAR, but it's blkstruntd.com. Yeah, man, I launched my website on New Year's night, man, and I'm going to put a lot of work into it. And so I kind of planned it that way to kind of start the new year off with a bang, and just something I've been really working on since the pandemic. Really, man, the pandemic really gave me a lot of time to polish up my product and really get it right. I've got a lot of people to thank, man, to really helping me get to this point, and actually getting a website going, like last year I was working a lot with my boys and doing a lot of different pop-ups and events like that. But coming into this year, I was hoping to do more events to get the clothes out. But I mean, obviously, our world pretty much came crashing down due to the pandemic. And so I had to adapt. And so e-commerce and has really been my focus. And I'm pretty fortunate. I think like the best thing that happened through the pandemic was really helping me kind of settle down and lock in and really like try to get my website right. I've talked about it for years. And so I'm really proud of what I put out. So yeah, man, I hope y'all check us out. I've got a lot of different pieces on there. I've got different Black Star t-shirts. I've got hats. I've got beanies. I've got custom jackets. I've got something for everybody. I've got tank tops. And so ladies, I've got stuff, tap in.
Gotta have something for the ladies.
Gotta
have something for the ladies. I was thinking about that, man. Like women like to shop, man.
Well, for sure.
You know what I mean? I know my wife likes to keep me nice, so I'm sure every woman takes care of their man. So yeah, tap in.
Now, Kofi, I wanted to ask you, like, looking through your stuff, it's obvious you have like your own style, very particular style, and you talk about your mission of telling your story and bring your history from home and just your culture, and like what are specifically some of the things you do to kind of incorporate that into your style, so that because to me it's obvious, but it's there's still subtleties to it. So what's something like you kind of go about, or what's the frame of mind you go into for that?
I appreciate that. Yeah, so the kente cloth is really something that's like very consistent. I mean, a lot of the work that I do. I don't know if you see this particular hoodie, for example. Yeah. I've got some kente cloth crowning the hood over here.
Nice.
That's an example of one piece. For me, the kente cloth is a very special cloth. It's a cloth that back home, the Ashanti tribe, like the kings and queens, a lot of royal folks used to dress up in the kente to kind of show where they're from, to really show off like their wealth. And so a lot of wealthy people wore that kente. And so a lot of kente has been passed down from years down to years down. It's hard to find a lot of like the original hand woven kente from back home. And like, that's what I use. Yeah. Like nowadays, like you'll find like a lot of like dashikis and more of like the cotton kente. I try to really use a lot of like the hand woven kente from back home. So that way people still have that authentic just look, I think it's important to showcase that. And so I work very hard to try to find those one of a kind, unique kentes from back home. And so, I think for me, as far as creating something unique, I feel like the kente sometimes has been overly used sometimes in Black culture. And I want to, create pieces where, one, they're unique and they're hard to find. And I want people to really embrace and celebrate the kente like a piece of like Gucci cloth. Like, I feel like that's cotton. Like this is shit like that kings and queens used to wear. You know what I mean? And I want people to like embrace that shit to the fullest and like remember like where we're from. You know what I mean? Like not to knock Gucci. I mean, I rock Gucci. Like nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But I want people to understand like there's power in some of these things, and like we we often, like give too much power to a lot of materialistic things, but like there's shit that has meaning and that tell a story. And I feel like when you dress up, you're telling your story, right? Like folks look at you like you can tell a lot about somebody on like what they're rocking, you know what I mean? And so I feel like when you rock my clothes, one, it needs to embody who you are, but you're also representing something way bigger. You know what I mean? It's a culture, and I want folks to feel like that when they wear my stuff and to be proud of that. You know what I mean? But also for me, like, it's a sense of pride for me to be able to rock my national cloth and heritage. You know what I mean? Like, when I first came here in the 5th grade, bro, like I was the kid wearing the 3-piece freaking getup, like the whole thing. You know what I mean? I showed up for picture day with the 3-piece kente like fitted, and I thought like I was like coming to America, like I was the shit, killing it. You feel me? But I'm looking at these kids' faces, everybody's like, yo, like what's that? Like what are those type of shit? I'm like, nah, like y'all got it twisted. You know what I mean? And so
that's great.
Like I grew up being made fun of for rocking that stuff. You know what I mean? And so I feel like for a lot of folks who, you know, migrate to the States or immigrate to the States, you know, I feel like when we get here as kids, like it's quite often that story where like we're made fun of and we try to shed our culture and like are ashamed to eat our food or speak our language or rock our clothes. And I feel like as an adult now, like looking back on that, like that could have really like screwed me up. Like I could have been that dude, you know what I mean? But I was just too proud to like give into that shit. You know what I mean? I wanted to rise above that, and I'm just fortunate I was able to have folks around me to support me and let me be. And so so right now, man, like I try to embody that in the stuff I make, so people can also rock with it. You know what I mean? So like incorporating it in the American fashion, but also adding my touch to it so everybody can love it. You know what I mean? And be like, yo, I can rock that too. You know what I mean? I can rock it with a denim jacket. I can rock it with a little beanie. You know what I mean? And look cool. Like I don't have to be African to rock it. You know what I mean? And so it's part of why I kind of do it that way.
I mean, and that's definitely something I feel from it. Like I love about your style because you can tell it's inclusive. If you're looking on your IG and your website, I mean, you see people of all colors rocking your stuff, you know, and like you said, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I could totally, you know, wear that. And for me, you know, I'm assuming I'm a little older than you. You know, I go back to the days of, you know, when small designers were popping like a Fubu or a Carl Kanai and Cross Color, and Cross Color specifically used to rock the African colors and stuff. And man, 100%. I was all about, you know, cross colors back in the day. So I for sure I dig your style, and I love what you got going. It's really cool, man. Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, cross colors, man. Like, I mean, those old school brands, again, like there was one point in time where that was embraced, right? And so like, why can't it be cool? And I feel like I'm not saying that I am like 100%, but I could say like I was born from that cross colors inspiration to now, right? So like I'm as far as this generation, I'm hoping to revive that same feeling and really try to connect folks back home to our roots, man, and really embody that here in the States.
But it's funny because the cross colors, you guys talk about the cross colors, and if you look at your flag behind you right there, those are the same colors that cross colors had. So when cross 100%. Colors was coming out, they probably went like, hey, what are cool colors that we can come up with? And here you are, 2019, you know, when you get your colors, you took the flag of the country that you're from, and you took colors that represent your country in a way where it's like, whoa, I don't want to sport a yellow, you know, shirt because it's so bright. But then nowadays you can sport a yellow shirt, you can sport a green shirt, rock it with some jeans, and you're like, whoa, you know, like this is kind of cool. You know, the style is totally different from what it was, you know, from when you were growing up as a kid. Like, you know, back then, you know, those Daly City kids were rough on you, and now you have like, if you wore that same outfit right now, I guarantee you a lot of people have more questions about your heritage than, you know, sticks and stones kind of thing. You know, it's like, yo, where are you from? I would come up to you and the first thing I would ask you is like, what's the type of food that they have in Ghana? What can I eat that, you know, because I'm more of a, you know, I'm a foodie. I love food. And, you know, you hear stuff about different countries, and I would, probably like kill your head with like, what's the good food out there, right? Because that's just how I am. But man, just the inspiration of colors that you got, man. I mean, like I said, dude, from day one, from the day I met you, when I first met Kofi was our what's that guy's name from Living Single, the guy that's always dressed up. Was it not Carlton?
Carl Barker.
Yeah. Kofi was always dressed up. Kofi was always like, he had that look. His socks always had to match, whatever he was wearing. And then I was like, man, Kofi. And then when I found out he was doing the clothing line and he was like doing heroics and like I would always kill Kofi's head. Like, hey, Kofi, man, let me go meet Most Spates. Let me see if Most Spates can come out, And then when he left and decided to do this, I was like, man, this is huge, man. This is big. And I got nothing but, props for you for taking that leap, for taking that step. Because a lot of us don't want to leave that comfort zone. A lot of us is like, man, I'm happy here. This is where I want to be. But you said, you know what? I'm going to leave this because I want to do my own brand. I want to do this. And that took a lot of courage and guts, man. And I'm proud of you for doing that.
Man, thank you. Yeah, no, it's not easy. Like I said, I mean, it's taken a whole journey to get to this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also can't forget to thank like my wife, who's been very supportive and letting me chase my dreams and you know what I mean? Like do the things I love.
Yeah.
And just God for, keeping me locked in. I think when I first met you, I think it was like China Basin. Yeah.
China Basin. Well, I met you at Laurel Heights before we moved over to China Basin.
Before we moved over, that's right. Yeah, man. So like at that point, like a few months after I moved to China Basin, I lost my grandfather, and so I don't remember if you remember me taking some time off, but I went back home, and that was around like I want to say like 2016.
Yeah, it was around 2015, 2016 when we first started working together.
Yeah, man. So I went back home to bury my grandfather, and like, so when I was back home, like that was my first time going back after like 20 years. So it was like a homecoming, you know what I mean? And so like that was big for me, man. Like, I mean, I left when I was 8 and a half, and then, and to go back when I was like in my 28, I guess. Yeah. 28. It was 20 years exactly. And so like to be able to go back, unfortunately, due to those circumstances, but I felt like, something sparked in me being back home and just being able, like seeing everybody come out for my grandfather's like funeral. And like, this was like a whole week, like event type of thing. And like learning more about my roots, like it just really made me more proud. And I felt like I just had that purpose to really stay locked in and to do something, and so when I came back, yeah, man, I was just more inspired than ever to make sure like that Black Star, like that story is told, you know what I mean? At least in my circle, like I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know what the end goal is at the end of the day. I feel like the story has taken so many shapes, but I really use the fashion as the vehicle, as the voice to be able to connect with the people. You know what I mean? And I feel like connection is everything. And once you have that connection, you've got people who are open-minded enough and more accepting and more willing to, hear something new, try some new food, listen to new music, try a different culture, and be also able to, open themselves up and be vulnerable and share their culture and share, things they love. And I feel like that's the only way. And so, I don't know, I just felt like fashion was something I was into. But at the same time, like, how do I create something bigger than that? And being able to establish like something back home would be incredible. Nice. I do a lot of, as I always send stuff back home, either, books or clothes and things like that. And so I want to be able to, as I'm still in healthcare, I want to be able to use that platform to be able to set up something back home and really build something more self-sustaining, either through like, private clinics or, some type of resources. Yeah. So I could just really build something to really stick back home, because the one thing I noticed when I was back home, and I feel like it's always been like this, man. Unfortunately, a lot of people feel like they're doing charity for Africa, like, but not with Africa. Yeah. In a sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but like a lot of people look down on Africa as a continent. So it's really more of like, I'm doing y'all a service. And so a lot of things tend to not stay, like they're not building or they're not growing the country or the economy per se, or like growing the people. It's more like taking from the people and taking from the land. And so, I just want to be able to give back and build something on home soil, like something that when I'm gone can still be there and like folks can benefit from. And so, that's really kind of like the bigger picture behind the mission. And the fashion is just my language, my way of just connecting with the world, and also just getting African Americans to connect back home, man. That's really who's supposed to be hearing this. You know what I mean? Like, like we spend a lot of our money with all these big name brands in Italy and France and Europe and Paris and blah, 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 blah. But, like we have a whole continent back home that is untapped by us, with a lot of people tapping into those resources. So how do we find a way to do that? And so, I feel like Black Star is my opportunity to do that, while I also use my art and express myself at the same time. So.
Kofi,
is it hard for you, like, when you have a mission like that of wanting to, bring essentially two worlds together, right? Put light on where you come from and shine your light in the process. How do you, sometimes that could be a lot of pressure on somebody, and as a creative, we're so stuck in our heads sometimes thinking about a million things, what's something that you do to be able to focus? Because like for me, sometimes that's my issue, is like I put so much pressure on myself that I'm forgetting the end goal and what it is I enjoy doing. Like, does that ever happen to you as far as your work?
No, that's a great question, Joe. I think as a creative, like we go through those peaks and valleys as just life like everybody else, right? But like you go through it in your mind with just everything you're trying to do. And so just trying to stay on that course, right? Like that's like the hard thing as far as just trying to balance life in itself. I think for me, I write a lot, man. I write a lot. I think that's always helped me, like when ideas spark, or I've got kind of like my vision board in my little book, man. And like, that's a great way. Like if I don't write it down and I don't see that vision, like if I don't see it clearly, I don't move. Like I move a lot. I create a lot on intuition. And so it's really like when I'm in that zone and I just have that feeling, I go create. And usually within those few hours, like I get a lot done. Thankfully. So like just being able to lock in spurts, so that way I can just focus on different things, has done me well. I mean, it's hard to stay 100% just locked in on creating. Like that's just life, right? But if you're able to find those gaps of just let me just lock in for this X amount of hours or whatever, or, like I feel really good today. Let me go in the lab and see what comes out. And then you just build on that, man. Like I've got tons and tons of ideas like in my book that I haven't even got to yet, right? Like there's just chapters that I haven't even had, because whether it's just not the right time, or, I don't have the resources right now for this particular thing, or whatever it is, like, it's always good to write it down so you can come back to it. And so however you're able to store that somewhere, man, it's good to have that. I mean, I could look back now and like, I've got pages of things I'm like, oh shoot, like I actually did that. Like, oh man, like this thing that I did like 2 years ago, like now it's relevant. Like now it's dope. Like, let me add on to that. Let me tweak, you know what I mean? Cool. So that's always helped me kind of compartmentalize as far as being able to write down all my thoughts.
Nice, man. Again, man, inspiration. Hey, you guys got me into the thing. I'm one of those guys that don't write anything down. I kind of feel bad, and I got to start, taking things and writing things down. That's why I'm always forgetting stuff, man. I'm always forgetting everything.
I work graveyard shift. If I didn't write things down, I'd forget everything. Mental.
Man, for everyone who wants to follow Kofi on Instagram, it's blk.star.untd, Black Star United. Follow his page. Definitely his website also. blackstarunited.com. Is that what it is? BLK.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I don't mean to confuse y'all. Sorry, but yeah, like there's like 3 different variations of Black Star. But you got it right though. The IG handle is blk.star.untd, but the website is blkstruntd.com. So blackstarunited.com. Yes, sir.
Got it. Yeah. Check out his site. Check out his. He has a lot of cool stuff. My kids are still, my son's always bugging me like, "Hey, Dad, I kind of like this Kofi. He dropped this switch." He was telling me about your stuff that was dropping before I even saw it. And we were going to come out to one of your shows. I think you were doing Carnival, and I think that something happened to where we didn't come out for a reason. There was a reason why we didn't get to come out. I forgot what it was, but he was like really looking forward to come out. He wants to pick your brain because, my youngest son is, I think I brought it up to you. He wants to get into clothing line. He wants to get into some kind of, fashion design. And I said, hey, Kofi does this, this is what he does. If you want to learn from him, I'll see if there's anything that, he can have you do. And you were cool enough to say, yeah, bring him aboard. We'll let him, show the stuff. But, again, 2020 pandemic hits. We had to put things on pause for a while. And then, I'm hoping, sometime this year when everything is back to normal, we can, definitely do more stuff like this, and maybe we can, take a tour of your facility and see how things, are really, the grind is over there and see how that really goes.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. You know what? I mean, your kids are always welcome, and I always make time for them. I feel like knowledge, especially in this fashion game, it's weird. I guess I'm not at that level yet, but I feel like the higher you reach, the more it's like a secret society, and it's a weird thing. Like, not to say it like that, but there's like like it becomes
those gatekeepers.
You know what I mean? And like, there's all these little clubs where you might not fit in, or you can't open this door, and I feel like that's just so silly because fashion is for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so being able to share whatever bits I know with your kids or whoever, I'm always open to share, because I've learned from a lot of dope people. You know what I mean? Like my boy Gav, who put me on, like taught me how to screen print. You know what I mean? My boy E, who's been, E, from Immaculate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He taught me how to even put a thread into a sewing machine. Like small things like that. Like I've had a lot of dope people who've helped me along the way. So like any knowledge I can give to your kids or whoever, absolutely, man. Anytime.
I may have to pick your brain too. I've mentioned this like a million times on the podcast, but I'm a sneakerhead, and over the last 2 years, I've kind of been dabbling in customizing sneakers. And one of the things I want to learn how to do is sew. So I may have to pick your brain. I may need you to show me how to thread the needle in the machine.
I can show you that. I'm not an expert. I'll show you what I know, but I can definitely put you on.
Sure. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Yes, sir.
You're going to have to take a field trip with the kids and Joe to Black Star United to see how things done.
Come on down.
Kofi, thank you for jumping on. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story, man. Again, inspirational guy. Everyone who listens, who is watching on YouTube and listening on the podcast, definitely check out his website. He definitely has a lot of cool stuff. And he's one of these guys, and I can speak, I'm speaking the truth right now. He's one of these guys where, man, he will find time to speak with you no matter how busy he is. He's not one of those guys where, hey, I got a question for you. And he's like, nah, dude, I don't have time right now. He's one of these guys. He took time for us today, which I'm very, very appreciative for coming on the show to, telling us your story, telling us the truth about Black Star United, how it came about, representing the Filipino flag and the Ghana flag in the background. Don't worry, Joe, we got that Puerto Rican flag. We'll put up right there somewhere.
We'll get it.
Send it down. Send it down.
I mean, and just stuff like that, man. I mean, it's like, I'm very appreciative for the things you've done. And not only are you doing it for yourself, man. I mean, if you look at the Instagram, the community you're doing it for, you do stuff during Pride Week, you do stuff, during a lot of the things. So that's good, positive stuff that you're doing for the community here, and then the people back home in Ghana as well. So, man, we definitely appreciate you, what the hard work that you're putting in.
Joe, thank you both for giving me this platform and the opportunity to not just tell my story, but just kind of shine light on a continent that's beautiful and that just needs to be celebrated and embraced more, And so, I mean, as you say, E-Man, like, you are an inspiration too, like you told me, man. Like, being able to, like, I used to watch you on the streets with your camera, and I'm like, yo, like, that's dope. Like, a lot of people don't have the heart to do that shit, and like
every day, like he
didn't care. Every day was locked in and was just doing it because that's what you love, you know what I mean? And so, like, when I say share your light, it's not just about fashion, but whatever your skill is, whatever your talent is, like, use that to really, like, shine light on something dope. And, like, for you to give me that voice, that platform with your light, I appreciate that, man. So thank you for shining your light. And you too, Joe. I appreciate you both, man. Keep going. I'm proud of y'all. Keep evolving and keep telling dope stories, man. I appreciate the content y'all been putting out. So thank you.
Before you jump off, share your where we can reach you again, from your Instagram to the website.
Appreciate that. Yeah, one more time, on IG and Facebook. I just got on Facebook, man. Okay. I've been slacking on my Facebook, but I'm finally on there. So find me on both social media platforms, IG and Facebook, at blk.star.untd. And then my website, which is blkstruntd.com. So
perfect. Nice. Kofi, this is going to be on YouTube. This is going to be on all the podcasting platforms. So once this is uploaded, I'll share it with you. Then you can share it with everyone from family to around the world. And, I definitely want to see Ghana on our analytics, on our podcast page, because that's the next analytics we want to see.
You will.
So we want to see those people out there. Kofi, again, thanks again for coming on, and we definitely would love to have you back on, next time around.
Anytime you're welcome.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, brothers, man. Keep being great.
Kofi from Black Star United, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Wow, that was
oh man, that was awesome.
That was cool. I mean, just to listen to a guy that goes from what he said, from coming here at 8 years old and having to deal with, we were terrible as kids, man. I mean, like making fun of a guy because he was dressed as heritage, and to be where he is now, I want to see how many of these kids that were making fun of him are actually like, hey, yo, Kofi, man, can I get a sweater?
Yeah, right.
Can I get a sweater?
Can you show me your hat?
Like, you remember that time you made fun of me?
It's really inspiring.
Yes.
Yes. To hear his story. I listened to a little of his stuff on Instagram he had posted, but, for him to really go into it and kind of in depth and what his mission is, I mean, it makes what we're doing that much, I don't want to say easier, but, it helps lift the stress a little bit of all the day-to-day stuff. Because now it's just like, what, we're doing the right thing, and that's what, I think that's kind of what his goal is, just to inspire people to do cool stuff and whatever they enjoy. So, man,
I mean, again, cool guy, like 100% cool guy. And it's funny because he's kind of sort of like family, because he knows my sister, he knows my brother-in-law, he knows everybody. It's like I can't tell him something, or I can't say, like, he'll come up to me and be like, hey, yo, man, I heard about your sister. And I'm like, told you. How'd you know? So it's one of those things where it's like, 'cause he's a cool guy. He has a lot of cool ideas, and I love the stuff that he puts out. And for you guys, again, check out his website, check out his Instagram. He definitely has a lot of cool stuff out there. We need more people like him, positive, entrepreneur, putting his own stuff out there, and not, I can say 10, 15 years from now, when this Black Star United is one of those, like, the hottest things that you can't get anymore because it's, you have to wait in line to get his items. I guarantee 10, 15 years from now, when he's as successful as he is, he'll still make time to come talk to us, kind of thing. That's just how nice of a guy Kofi is.
Yeah, and you can tell, man, if you take 5 minutes out to kind of look at his stuff he has on social media, his personality comes across in his stuff right away. Even before I met him, got to meet him briefly yesterday before we came on, and he was a genuine person, the same way he is on here, and the same way he comes across. I mean, people like that are destined for success. So I'm really enjoying watching his progress and see where he goes from here.
I can't wait to show everybody podcast 16 that we're putting out, that this is the day that we had Kofi on our podcast.
I know people.
Now we're watching his stuff on, American Music Awards or the Grammys. Like, hey, isn't that a Black Star United, outfit that he's wearing? Kind of thing.
Yeah, ridiculous releases like Supreme.
Yeah. You know what'd be cool, man? This, like, if you take some of the colors that he puts on the sneakers that you like doing, that'd be a cool thing, cool collab that you guys can do.
Way ahead of you. Once I'm done with these bad boys right here, I was actually thinking about doing something
nice
along those lines, and maybe we can me and Kofi can talk about something. We'll do a collabo. Maybe I'll do a Black Star United pair.
Oh, man, that'd be crazy.
We could even have them back and do a giveaway.
Yeah. We were gonna do a giveaway today, but I decided not to.
A lot going on,
and plus, how are we gonna get it to you? I don't even like going to the post office right now. So
yeah. It was when we came up with the idea, I mean, we literally had a less than 24 hours to have been able to pull that one off. But I would like to put the time into it and get something cool for you guys who support us, because we really do. I know we say it a lot, but we appreciate everybody that listens to us and supports us. And shares our stuff and comments. I mean, it means a lot. It makes us feel good about what we're doing and want to keep doing it. So
shout out to Linda Spalding, who follows me on my YouTube page, who found our YouTube page and is commenting a lot and showing the love on our YouTube. Again, there was two types of people that listen to the podcast. There's the ones that listen to us on the podcasting platforms, and then there's the ones that watches us on YouTube. So shout out to her, because she watches us on YouTube, and when she comments a lot. And Linda, thank you.
And Linda, I did see your comment. I will take orders for Coquito next year, but it all depends on where you live and your proximity to me, because
I think she's local. I think she's local.
Okay, so maybe we'll work something out and you can try something.
She got on my YouTube page because I was doing this thing called The Hunt. I don't know if it's a secret. This guy, Byron Price, buried this cast somewhere in San Francisco, and everybody in San Francisco was going crazy on trying to find this thing. The guy died in like 2 years after he buried it, so he can't really tell us where it is.
So it still hasn't been found.
No one's found it yet.
Oh,
and everybody's saying,
episode.
Yeah, you know what, man? That'll be a good podcast episode, and it's definitely cool. But yeah, so that's how, Linda got a hold of me. Then next thing you know, she just watches my vlogs, and just like what everyone says, like the information I put on the vlogs, which I will start doing again. Trust me, I will. But this podcast right now to me is what I love doing. So, and people like Kofi sharing his light, again, inspiration of like why we should continue the podcast and why we should still have more information for the podcast. It's funny because the other day I was looking at our YouTube channel and we got 1 thumbs down. And the thumbs down was when we talked about UFOs. And I was trying to, I told you guys, we are not professional. We're talking off what we see on TV. Yeah, it was podcast number 13. Somebody gave us a thumbs down because we probably didn't tell them the truth, or
number 13.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're telling too much truth.
Maybe they didn't.
Maybe that was the FBI.
You can't talk about the white vans here at Roswell. What are you guys doing?
Who knows? It might have been my dad trying to figure out how to use the YouTube.
Hey, there's my dad. I found out my dad was always giving me thumbs down because he didn't know that thumbs down was a bad thing. I was like, God, I got another thumbs down today. He's like, oh yeah, I did that for you. I'm like, what? That's a bad thing.
The ones that are closest to you.
But man, appreciate Kofi for jumping on again. This podcast, we were just talking about trends and clothing line and how we segued into someone who's actually in the clothing line, the clothing business, who's, and he has everything from t-shirts, jackets to pants. Missing some shoes, Joe. He's missing shoes. So
hey, that's the next thing, man.
So Joe,
I'm actually really excited.
Joe and Kofi, Eric will be sitting.
Because as much as I have headaches doing shoes, and I keep telling myself and my wife, that's it. This is the last one. I'm not doing this shit anymore. And then, like, soon as I'm done, I'm like, well, that'd be a cool idea to do that. So she hates me right now.
Someone will be like, hey, Joe, I have my son's shoes. Like, all right, bring it over. I'll get it done.
Yeah. I always do it to myself. I aim to please. I'm a people pleaser, man. I don't know what it is.
Joe's another cool guy where it's like you say something to Joe, the coquitos from last time. Oh, God. So for you guys who do listen, he gave coquitos for Christmas, killed it. A week later, he gave us coquitos for New Year's. Gave us 2 bottles. The first bottle, we had little styrofoam cups about this big. That one cup, oh my God! I was like, "What the hell's in here?
Yeah.
What's in here?"
I tell you, man, it's a creeper.
But it was good.
I think that's what's so good about it. It tastes good, and you get your ass whooped by the rum.
Matter of fact, as soon as this is done, I'm going to go get me a cup of coquito, and that's it.
Nice.
But thank you again for you guys who listens on a daily. For you guys who listens, from New York to San Francisco to Daly City to Hawaii. Thank you for listening. There's not going to be a podcast next week. Am I correct, Joe?
Yeah.
No podcast next week. So just continue listening to the other podcasts from 1 through 16, because this is going to be the 16th episode. And leave us comments. Again, we love comments. Leave us comments. Yeah. Casey King, leave me a comment. Let me know what we got.
And whoever gave us the thumbs down, let us know.
Tell me
how
why
we triggered you. Where do we go wrong? What do we do?
I mean, I did my best not to mention ET. Was that what it was? Because I didn't mention ET. Tell me
my
why.
Face. I just have one of those faces. I would give myself a thumbs
You guys
down
don't look like aliens to me.
Yeah. Come on. What is that's so fake.
He probably is like, well, they are not from America, so maybe they're aliens that way. No, those are different types of aliens, guys.
Maybe it was aliens that were giving.
Oh, maybe
us a dislike.
Maybe the aliens are mad we didn't give them enough props. Maybe that's what it was.
Like we're not even getting paid for this.
It was a real UFO that landed in Roswell. What the hell's wrong with you guys?
Speaking of UFOs, did you see that thing about the COVID bill and the UFOs? That there was some sort of part of this COVID bill that somebody slipped in there that the government needed to release any UFO information, but they don't call them UFOs now. It's another word.
Wow.
It's like UAFs, I think is what it is.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It was on CNN. I meant to bring that up.
No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, the military and the government did not want Trump to know anything about the UFO. Because he was going to slip and accidentally say that everything was real. So that's why. And now they're trying to slip a little something in there too by telling us, the next president cannot know anything about the UFOs.
Biden's an alien.
And I mean, look at him, man.
We're just going to get like 5 dislikes on this episode now. Sorry, Kofi.
Sorry, guys. But again, follow Kofi, Black Star United. He's on Instagram. Yes. He's on Facebook. And check out his website. And then follow us, the Ordinary Joe's podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on all the podcasting platforms. Instagram, leave us comments on Instagram. Do whatever you guys got to do to, make fun of us. That's what we're here for. And we don't take you guys serious. Just to let you guys. We take your questions serious. But if you guys got something fun, something bad to tell us, I don't take you serious.
It's all right. You'll be okay.
I'm going to find me some sweatpants and my black leather jacket and go walk around the house with it right now. Where's my Run DMC Kango?
Dookie chain to go with it.
Well, I got the red chain with the Niner logo on the end. So
nice.
That's from last year.
Yeah. And this might be the only time I ever say in history, but let's go Eagles. I need them to win. Come on.
1 minute and 12 seconds into 1 hour and 12 seconds into this podcast, I'm going to keep booting it. Let's go Eagles. Let's go Eagles. Hey, if anybody in the NFC East would win it, I definitely want to see the Giants win it, just because they came from a crappy. The whole NFC East is crap, but the Giants,
it's a shit show.
Giants came from like, oh my God, let's better luck next year to what? They might actually win the division. So I'm rooting for the underdog. I'm rooting for the underdog. That's what it is.
Thank you, man.
I'm rooting for the underdog.
We can get any help we can get. It's welcome.
I'm a big Alex Smith fan. You know that, but I think Alex Smith is going to play like the regular Alex Smith, where he's going to throw a couple 5 touchdowns and no, he's going to throw no touchdowns and
5 interceptions.
Yeah. Eagles are going to So let's see what happens.
Yeah,
see what happens.
Sure.
But see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you for listening. Until then, we are the Ordinary Joes.
Peace.
See ya.
Ordinary Joe's Podcast.